This is Danny Flexen here for Seconds Out. Delighted to be joined by former two-weight world champion Carl Frampton. Carl, how you doing?
I'm doing good, Danny. How you doing?
Yeah, good. We're here to talk about Canelo against Caleb Plant. Huge fight this weekend. Bid to become undisputed champion at 168 pounds. How close in your own career did you get, do you feel, to becoming undisputed at either of the two weights where you were a champion?
I don't think it was ever that close. I was unified, obviously, which was a big enough thing to do. Own two titles at once. It was something I'm very, very proud of. But to become undisputed, it would have been extremely difficult, and I don't think there wasn't even really a conversation about it, if I'm being honest. And it's something you don't really see too often this day and age anyway, with rivalries between promoters and governing bodies. And we've seen with Fury being stripped, not for his last fight, but when he beat Klitschko, how quickly he was stripped of titles and stuff and mandatories from other governing bodies. So I think it's, for Canelo to do it as a super middleweight in such a short space of time as well would be incredible. Josh Taylor's obviously done it as well, huge achievement. But you don't see too many undisputed guys these days because of, I suppose, the politics of boxing.
Does it show the kind of power and influence that Canelo wields, that he's been able to do this in a short space of time, if he obviously is successful on Saturday?
Yeah, I think so. I think talking about that, obviously he's a huge star, and governing bodies want him to be their champion. So they will allow him to kind of, delay mandatories to have these unification fights if he wants. I think the thing with, we talk about Fury against Klitschko, and Fury being stripped so quickly is because he wasn't a huge name then. I think it'll be a different story now. I don't think you're going to suddenly start stripping Tyson Fury of titles at this point to fulfill kind of mandatory obligations. But sorry, he's only got one title, doesn't he? Yeah, but if he had more, it shows you the politics of boxing. And if you're a name and a player, you can do more than someone who isn't.
Now, we've seen quite a lot of animosity between Canelo and Plant in the build-up, particularly at the launch press conference. In your own career, was there ever an opponent that you really got under your skin, or that you were kind of emotionally invested in?
Yeah, that the Chris Avalos fight probably, and although I fought bigger names than Chris Avalos, he was the one that kind of annoyed me a bit, but I used it to great. Like, it wasn't as if he got under my skin and I went in reckless into the fight. Quigg, I suppose, as well. That was the build up to that fight. There was a lot of animosity on both sides, and I got wound up at press conferences, etc., and things that were being said on social media. But the Quigg fight was probably one of my most composed performances. So I think that's going to be similar to Canelo, although he's been wound up here by Plant. I think one of his big things is his composure, and he's really composed, and he looks for different patterns from fighters, and he's kind of analyzing them through the fight as the fight's progressing. I don't think because he's been wound up in the press conference, I don't think suddenly it's going to be a performance that isn't full of composure.
You often overcame disadvantages in height and reach in your career. Leo Santa Cruz most famously, but there are other examples as well. How significant, if at all, are Caleb Plant's advantages in height and reach in this fight?
Yeah, they are significant. I think that if you look at, I suppose that I thought that Callum Smith was going to give him issues because of his height and reach, and dimensions. Like, he's 6'3", maybe 6'4". Callum, he's a big guy, but Callum Callum allowed Canelo to get close and fight him, but maybe just Canelo got close and Callum wasn't able to do anything different. And I think that's the big thing with Canelo. He can work his way through the fight. I think it'll be important for Plant to be active and mobile and not stand still to have a chance of winning the fight. But it's easier said than done, isn't it? Than when you're fighting a fighter like Canelo.
What areas, if any, do you feel Caleb Plant is superior to a Callum Smith, for example? What challenges can he pose that Callum didn't?
Well, he moves better, doesn't he? although Callum's a big guy, he's kind of he keeps his hands nice and tight, and he tucks in and blocks a lot of shots as well. Plant is a bit more kind of, he flows a bit more, and he can move, and typically he likes to try and frustrate opponents as well, and he gets a bit flash and I suppose a bit arrogant as well. But I think it's going to be hard to frustrate such a composed fighter like Canelo.
If you were going to pinpoint the type of fighter that could beat Canelo at super middleweight, for example, because obviously he could go up in weight and just get out strength or out overpowered, what qualities would you be looking for?
Well, I don't think there is anyone that can beat him at super middleweight. I think that Benavidez and Plant probably give him issues at some point, but I don't think he beats him. But I think, if you create a boxer, it's someone that can punch like Golovkin and someone that can move like Plant. I don't think that Golovkin moves as well, especially at this stage. To beat Canelo, I thought he beat him the first leg, but now at this stage, I don't think he moves well enough to be able to beat Canelo. I don't think Plant punches hard enough to be able to beat Canelo, although his movement could give him issues. So, yeah, if you morph Golovkin and Plant together, you have a chance.
If he does end up moving up to light heavyweight after this fight, is there anyone he could take on there that would start as the favourite, do you think, against him?
Possibly Beterbiev. I'd probably have Beterbiev a slight favourite, but it wouldn't surprise me if Canelo beat him. I think that depends on, I think if he fights Beterbiev, then the fight's going to be south of light heavyweight. He's not going to come in because Canelo can do what he wants. He can make his own weight division up, and make the fight a couple of pounds light of light heavy. But Beterbiev is a dangerous fighter. But Canelo's ballsy, and he's a dangerous fighter himself. But that's a fight who I think Beterbiev would probably be slight favourite.
Now, coming back to Saturday, you don't feel Plant's going to win. I don't feel he's going to win. But if you were in Plant's corner, what would you advise him to do to give him his best possible chance?
He needs to be active. He needs to keep moving, but he needs to be able to punch to get enough respect, I suppose. Not allow Canelo just to walk forward. I think it's been a bit of a masterstroke in bringing in Andre Ward and Virgil Hunter to his team, because I think that they are, if you look at any sort of super middleweight of years gone by, you'd probably have Andre Ward as a favourite in a fight against Canelo. So to get him involved in the team, I think it's a masterstroke. And I think because how Plant fights, and just bringing in them guys, how Andre Ward fought. I think we know his approach to this fight, and it's got to be movement. He can't stand still and trade off with this guy at all.
Do you fancy Canelo to get the job done inside the distance?
I think late. He may stop him late. I think he may lose some rounds in the fight. I'm saying that losing rounds and me watching on TV or a judge in Vegas is a different story. But I think that he'll definitely have some issues, especially in the first half. But I think he'll stop Plant late.
And just try and put into context, how big a fight is this in the history of the division in 2021 as well? How big an attraction is it?
It's a massive fight. It's the chance to have the first undisputed super middleweight champion that there's ever been. I think that just because Plant, me and you know him, and I hate the terms diehard and casual boxing fans, but the diehards know him, but the casual boxing fan doesn't really know Plant. And because of that, it's probably not as big a fight as it should be. But Plant is a very, very good fighter, and I'm really excited about this fight. And it's a big fight.
Before I let you go, just give us an insight into how retirement is treating you. You're obviously being kept very busy with the punditry and so on, but what else are you up to?
Well, I've bits and pieces, a few different pieces going on, and I've been busy, but it's been good because I'm not, I don't mind rest, and I don't mind days not doing anything, but I think that you can get pretty bored of that quickly, and I've just been I've just been enjoying life. Punditry, I've been doing some stuff for the BBC, little podcasts and stuff going on at the minute. Bringing the kids to school, going on trips. Just back from a few days away there with Christine and the kids, and they were things like that were few and far between while I was boxing, because it was always dictated to by the training camps, what have you. So I've just been enjoying my life, Donny. It's been good.
Brilliant. And now it is all said and done. What one piece of advice over everything else would you give to young fighters just starting out?
Have a solicitor read all your contracts.
I knew you were going to say that. Brilliant. Well, it's sage advice.
Yeah.
Really appreciate it, Carl. Hope you enjoy the fight on Saturday. I know I will. And hopefully speak to you again soon.